Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood-turning tools. Made by a woodturner, for woodturners. This is a really fun project. I'm always trying to figure out different ways to make Christmas ornaments, and I ran into a really cool guy, Ron Brown, and he's gotten into the business now of selling wood turning accessories, items, kits, and things like that. The neat thing about him, matter of fact, I think I got his picture right here. His company's called Ron Brown's Best, and he sells economical, affordable stuff that you can use in wood turning. Generally, you buy a tool and it's 150 bucks or so. Well, he has a slightly lower priced tool and he can sell it to you for maybe 85 or 50. What I like about him is he's trying to make wood turning available to everybody no matter what their budget is like, and you know me and budgets. So anyway, this project today is really cool because this is a laser cut Christmas tree kit. And actually we have one piece of wood right here, and then this piece, this piece, this piece are separate. So you got 3 segments of the tree, and then you have a little star up on top, which is also its own segment. And when you get the kits, they come in a package like this, and you can see the cutouts and everything else. And we'll just go ahead and pop this open and I'll show you all the toys that come with it. There's a full set of instructions inside, and that's very helpful. But one other thing Ron does is he makes a video involving about every single thing he sells or makes. So you can go find him on YouTube and you can actually see a video on how he does this. I'm going to do mine a little bit differently, but I don't always. But anyway, you can see right there are the maple blanks. And he was talking about one thing. I thought maybe if you put in something like a dye or something into your epoxy or whatever you want to use to glue these in later, that'd be really cool. Well, he found out the color bleeds into the maple, so when we get to that point, we're just going to do a straight glue with no colors. But here's all the pieces, so it's kind of like doing a puzzle. We've done a couple of those, and we did one with a pin, which was a real pain. This is really easy. Now, the first step is to lay these out just so they're kind of nice and handy. And you can see now how the tree kind of goes together. This one's a little elongated, but then they get a little stumpier, and you can see it goes together like that. Anyway, what I've got to do next is I got to start preparing the blank. And let me tell you a really interesting story while I'm doing this. By the way, this is that blue painter's tape that you use in your house. I did make a very nice prototype of this, and I was going to show it to you. Thank goodness Ron sent me this one because when I looked at the table this morning, my wife apparently had taken the one I made to work. So, trust me, it was gorgeous. But he did a fine job on this one. So anyway, I'm just taking the painter's tape and I'm putting it on the back of the blank here. So you can see right there, I'm doing it really nice and firm because what I want this to be is a barrier, so when this is turned over and we're putting in our adhesive, it doesn't run through and run under. If that bottom's perfectly flat, it saves us a little bit of work. So, I'm going to do 3 more of these, and I was impressed with how this goes together because it is a very simple process, and that's another thing Ron's about, is he wants to keep things simple and easy for people instead of having to make a lot of work for them. And this is cool. Let's see. Of course, it does involve a little dexterity, and you know how good I am at that. So the question is, what type of glue are we going to use? I was thinking we would use epoxy or something like that, but Ron actually recommends that you use this. And it's Bondo's fiberglass resin. Never had thought about using this ever on a woodworking project at all. And it is really cool because it comes out like epoxy once you mix it up. It'll harden up. It seems to have a little bit of flexibility to it. And that's the thing is that when you're building this kit and everything's glued up, if you use cyanoacrylate glue, it's hard and brittle. So you're turning a square with little insets in it. You could pop things out because it won't take the shock. But this stuff is neat. So if I can open it, there we go. And this is actually probably the part where I need to get into my doctor mode. We'll get our gloves on, because it is a little messy, but that's the fun of it. Also, make sure it's well ventilated, or you could have a really good time while you're doing this. Now, I'm going to try to pour what looks like approximately 1 ounce in here of this. It's just really goopy, gumpy stuff. There you go. See that a little better? Yeah. Here comes the fun part. This is the hardener or accelerator, and you have to do your own math in your own head. It comes out to about 10 drops for an ounce here. So we'll see how good we go. Make sure you use too many rather than too little. 5, oh crap, I lost count. Okay, it looks good? Okay, thanks. But put the lid back on. You have a few minutes working time with this. When I was doing my prototype and stuff, we're going to do kind of a cooking show today. I had to make up several, so I made up 12 at one time. The ounce was plenty for that, but by the time I got the last 2, it's getting kind of goopy, so you want to be real careful that you don't work too long or too slowly. So here comes the fun part. We're going to take this and we're just going to fill it up a bit. Make sure you get enough in there that it's going to scoosh out when you put the stuff in. This is why we're talking about being messy. Because if you get it to where it scooshes out, you don't wind up with any gaps between the wood and the plastic pieces. So there we go with that one. And here comes the fun part. Let's see if I can turn this to where you can see it. Here comes the bottom of the Christmas tree. And we're going to put the next segment of the tree in like so. Going to put this one in like so. And here comes the star. Okay, and now see the push out and the glue coming out? That's good. So you push it in until it's flat. And you leave that piled up on top so it fills up all the gaps. So you can imagine, if you really want to turn out a bunch of these, you can knock out a bunch of these kits really quick, because there's about an hour dry time here. And then you can go have a sandwich and then come back out and get to work again. The biggest part of this process involves gluing, because you're trying to build an assembly that goes onto some wood. And by the way, I failed to mention that right off the top. We're going to be using walnut as our base. And one thing that you want to do to keep everything symmetrical and make it easy on you is you make this piece of walnut the same width as the cutouts. So then when you line them up and put them on here, there's no sliding back and forth. Because think about it, if one's high, one's low, they're not symmetrical when you turn it. One's to the side, same issue there. So let's get this last one in, and then we're going to move on to the next stage, which actually involves more glue. Now, while those are drying, we already have some made up to help us move along. And this is where you see how good a job you did with your tape. So you peel this off, and you can see I'm perfectly flat. There's no leakage on there. If there is, take it to a belt sander or a sanding pad and make it smooth. Make sure it's still perfectly flat, because this is the part that goes on the wood. And so peel off the other 3 and pray for success on all those, or we'll show you sanding then. me and tape and I, we don't mix. You want to make sure you get all the tape off. You don't want any bumps down in here that will get in the way of your gluing up. So if I came at it from this angle, probably better, wouldn't it? Yes, there we go. Got one little piece there. That looks better. Okay. Got this one to go. I guess peeling tape is kind of like watching paint dry, but in reverse. There you go. You'll notice one thing too. You see the black outline and edge on there? That's caused by the laser cutting the wood. So that is a neat effect that happens. You get an outline to your tree. And that's why also I wanted to make sure I had enough fiberglass resin that it covered the entire piece. So I see the black outline. I don't see a gap or a dip. And there is a little bit of a gap there, and the reason it's there is it makes it easy for you to put this whole thing together. Now, the one thing you have to do when you prepare your blank, this is about 4.5 inches long. I'm going to make a tenon on it. That's why it's a little bit longer than the piece. But when you take it up to the bandsaw, like I said, you want to make sure these are the same diameter. That's the easiest way to do this. So I simply just took this, put this between the bandsaw blade and the fence and set my diameter that way, and then I ran the wood through. The next step I did do is I did take this to a sander and I made the sides perfectly smooth, because I still need really good contact. And really good contact with what? Well, let's use good old Titebond 3. This is a good waterproof glue and it works wonders. And I need another cup. Get that one out of there. Okay. interesting thing about this fiberglass as it dries, it gets really hot. So I wouldn't throw anything in your trash can after using it. Not that it's going to cause a fire, but it just common sense tells me that's not a good idea. So we're going to take what is, I think this is a flux brush. You use it for welding. You can get like 20 of these for like $5. So I use them for glue a lot. So we're just going to daub this up here. Here's my perfectly flat side. And I should have put my gloves on, but that's okay. Titebond comes off your fingers pretty easily. Just don't rub this one on your pants because it won't wash out because it's water resistant. Titebond 1 washes out. So if you want to work with a safer glue and you're like me, that's a good idea. So I put a very thin coat on there. Don't slather it because you want to come up here and kind of push it around. And by pushing it around, it'll quit sliding here in a second. See? So we've got one on there. Now we're going to do a second one. We got to do these in pairs. And Ron suggests, as you can see back here, that you use C-clamps to hold this together because it gives it a good bond. It took me 3 times longer to do C-clamps than it did to do regular clamps. So I'll show you my clamping here in just a second. Put a little bit more on here. Yuck. Yeah, what am I yucking about? This is fun. That looks good. I got a little thing on there. I want to get rid of that. Don't know what that was, but it'll stick out. So this one's going opposite of it, right? So we'll just push it on there a bit and work it in. Now here's the cool part. Put on something flat. If I push down on something flat like this and get my edges to mate up really good, I want them to match up on the top and the sides. So you've got about 30 minute work time. I have to read up on this again. Okay, hang right there. We're gonna take our big old boy clamp and come in on the top here and clamp it. I found out when I was doing the C-clamps, as I'd screw them down, it would start sliding again. So that was the issue I had with it. So we'll come here, and we're gonna put this one on like so. Now, you can actually wait for these to dry, or you can be greedy like me and insist on doing them all at the same time. And I'm gonna get the other two on there, and we're gonna clamp it all in one big pile of wood. Anyway, as we paint this on, I don't know what time of year it is when you're watching this, but I think any time of the year is a good time to do Christmas ornaments because you don't want to be doing them in December. That's way too late. Honest to God's truth, it's supposed to hit 100 today here in Oklahoma. What better way to think about Christmas than 100-degree heat? So we'll get that one pushed on. There we go. I was talking about paint dry earlier. I guess we can sit around and watch the glue dry too. But this, it goes on really nice. It's a real easy thing to do. I remember when we did the pen, it was so persnickety. It's a lovely project, but we were fidgeting with that thing for 20 minutes trying to get everything in place. This is going my style of going in place. You can see how I'm matching up on the edges all the way around. If you're the tiniest bit off, I don't think it's going to kill you. But when you start turning this into an oval or into a circle, little defects will show up, or little mistakes will show up. That's a big mistake. Slide that back. Put this one here. So I'm going to clamp the top with this big boy, and then kind of come in from the other side. Okay, there we go. I remember one of my heroes, Norm, said you can never have too many clamps, and he's right. I've got that in place, so we're going to come back in, and we'll come up from the bottom side. And so what we're doing is by doing the edges, we're making sure it really puts pressure all the way through so when it dries. So we'll set that aside and, well, not really once it's dry. I'm going to unpack this one and then we'll go to the lathe.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner for wood turners.